Hi, I'm CJ Altenberg with Transwest Truck Trailer RV in Frederick, Colorado. We appreciate you tuning in. So we got a real special trailer we want to walk you through this morning. This is an absolutely beautiful custom order. It is from a customer. We sold a Cimarron Showstar a couple years ago and wanted to kind of make a change to get into a custom setup with some more options. It is a privilege to be able to work with a customer building something like this. It's a lot of fun too. We get to bounce ideas off of one another. This customer already has experience with the Cimarron, so they already kind of had some ideas on what they wanted to do, maybe a little bit different on a really well-equipped trailer they bought originally, but then we get to do something really cool like the trailer sitting behind me. So it is a 2022 Cimarron Showstar LX 10-pin trailer. Before we get into it and all the options on this trailer that we'll walk you through, let's take a look at the drawing so you can kind of get an idea of the layout and size of this trailer. So again, it's a 10-pin setup. They went with an 8-foot front tack room, so we added a little bit of length there. It's 28.3 on the floor. With it being an LX, it's 8 foot wide, it's 6'4" tall. But again, just a really well-equipped 10-pin adjustable setup, but a lot of extras on this, so bear with us. We're going to walk you through a lot of cool options that you can incorporate maybe on your next Showstar setup, maybe a steer wall, maybe even on some of the horse trailers. There's a lot of things that we can bounce back and forth between these two trailers. But first thing, when we look underneath this gooseneck area here, is you'll notice that it is a roll-up enclosed door. Real simple to operate. It keeps everything behind this really clean when you're driving down, bad weather, bad roads type of a scenario. Again, real simple. It also, as we walk you through this, and especially at the end when we show you the finished product here, when it's all kind of set up and how beautiful this trailer is, in my opinion, it also makes this trailer look real sleek and a nice finish to it. The other thing when you're dealing with these type of kind of under the front end here is, as these trucks are traveling, that wind kind of whips behind them, and this will almost work as a parachute. But when you have this enclosed front end, it forces that air off of here. So we feel like, I'm sure it makes a big difference. We haven't done any testing, we probably ought to, but from a miles per gallon standpoint, I'm sure it does help with the aerodynamics. But having that, again, real simple to use, keeps everything nice and clean. We did put a 16-inch awning light underneath here as well with a switch. So your cargo light is actually going to be blocked by the front of the nose of this trailer on your cab or your pickup. So having this extra light back here, whether it's when you're hooking up or doing something underneath this gooseneck area, if you're hooked up, again, giving you some more light coverage. You'll notice a single leg electric over hydraulic jack. It does have the manual override, so in an emergency situation, getting it on the truck or off the truck, you have the ability to do. This floor on the bottom of it is the expanded metal instead of the solid floor. And the reasoning why is, they're going to go ahead and place a generator in here. We'll walk you through some of the stuff that they have on here and why that is. But this is extended for a 7K gen. We actually extend. Most of our enclosed front ends are 9 foot. This goes to 9.6 when they want to put a 7K underneath here, and then we flush mount it to the bottom of this. But one thing you have to keep in mind is this is enclosed. We understand you're going to put a generator in here. Running the AC, that type of deal, as you're going down the road with that generator running, we don't recommend it. The reason why is because of the heat and the exhaust on getting it out of this area with it enclosed up. But you do have 30 amp power. Again, we'll walk you through some of that stuff that you can power with that 7K gen that they're gonna do. So a couple things we also have going on. We have an aluminum battery box up here. We have dual batteries on this one. We have a battery disconnect as well. That is now standard on the 22 model. So if I come to park this trailer at a show or at home, and maybe somebody left a light on, when I go to unhook this trailer, the last thing I do is reach in there and turn that battery disconnect off. And the reason why is now it'll kill all power, so we're not, if you accidentally left the light on, we're not draining power from that standpoint. Over to the left, this is an air ride equipped trailer. That was one of the big things that this customer, why he was wanting to make an upgrade, is to go into air ride. These projects are expensive. We spend a lot of time, a lot of money on them. Let's give them the best ride that we can to the show to make them compete at the highest level. So that is our onboard compressor. It's all self-contained, very simple to operate. It's on, it's off. There's a lower and raise that will actually pick this trailer up. It'll pick it up about 2.5 inches off the ground. So in this scenario, in this video, I've got it lowered, and I'll show you why as we start walking through some of the ramps and the angles. Whenever we're loading species or tack, we like it lowered. The reason why is, again, everything's not as steep and not as tall as we're loading those items. And then when we go to leave, it's on and it's in the raised position. That's it. When we go to shut it off, we turn it off, we put it in the lower position, we clear the line. What happens is you know, air will create condensation, which, you know, we don't want lines to freeze or break. So by clearing that, that's a really important step right there. As we start working in this tack room, you'll notice it is the standard white sheets. That is standard on these trailers, and then you can upgrade into different colors. But this customer opted to go with the painted black top rail, bottom rail, and all the door frames. Again, as we work through this, we're going to kind of shut this side of the trailer up and work through it, and then at the end of the video, you'll be able to kind of take a step back and really see this finished product. It is a beautiful trailer. So now let's talk about jumping in this tack room here. Again, it's an 8-foot front tack room. We have a side ramp going into that, and then a side ramp going in the stall area, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let's go into this tack room, because these side ramps are so handy from the standpoint of now we're not having to lift stuff up over the edge. We can wheel things in. So whether it's upright show boxes, maybe you want to put a portable generator in here, maybe you got some fans, some carts, just items like that. That makes a big difference with those side ramps. Now, one of the cool things, let's start with this. Let's start with this floor. So this gray rubber floor, this is something we did on our stock show trailer. We've been doing this flooring for a little bit, but on our stock show trailer, our steer walt that we had on display this year at Denver, we did it on the floor, the gooseneck, drop wall, and then the deck. I really like this. You're going to see a lot more of this. And the main reason why is, you know, a lot of times we'll carpet this. And it is marine grade, so, you know, it can get wet from that standpoint. But, you know, vacuuming it out, if you get shavings, those type of items embedded in that carpet, it's real tough to kind of get out over time. But this is really, you know, it's got a lot of tread to it, so a lot of grip, but it's really easy to clean. You know, it's really easy to kind of almost just, you know, sweep everything together, vacuum it out. He saw that at Stock Show and he really liked it, so we made that little bit of a change there. And then the other thing is this fold down. Instead of the 4-inch tube that goes across, we did this fold down piece here. It's about 6 inches with the aluminum, but it'll hold items, you know, those smaller items from shifting as we're driving. So again, we got a lot of other stuff going on. Up here to the left is going to be our 30 amp breaker box. So we have 30 amp power to this trailer. We have an AC unit in the stall area that I'm going to show you here in a little bit. But let's walk through some of the other stuff. As we're on that side, you'll notice a shelf with a clothes rod. So you can hang clothes there. It does have a lip, so again, you can put items in there that aren't going to shift. Up above me is a Max Air fan. So these Max Air fans work a couple different ways. What it does is it'll pull air in or it'll pull air out. So it has a setting that it's going to try to maintain this area right here at 78 degrees, whether it's pulling air in or out, that airflow. But maybe you got some stuff in here, maybe you want to clear it, opening up your doors, you know, releasing some of that stuff as well. If they ever wanted to add a AC unit to this, this is the same footprint as an AC unit. So this is already framed for it. But you have the Max Air fan there. Kind of step back here. We've got an 18-inch boot box that goes partial way across. This is great for storage and great for buckets. We're trying to incorporate more 18-inch boot box. Because of the framework here at the top, this little bit of a lip, when you get into the 12-inch, it's really hard to get certain buckets in those. And the 18-inch just gives us that ability to put buckets in, and then anything else as well. And works as a nice little step, jumping up into the gooseneck to get items. Again, we're 9'6", so that there's quite a bit of depth here on this gooseneck itself. But it also works as a bench. Maybe you want to just take a load off, sit down, There is an outlet up here, you know, could charge a phone type of a scenario. There's a lot of that type of stuff incorporated in this trailer. Let's work to the other side here. You're going to notice a tray up here. So there's another one in the stall area that I'll show you, but he kind of specifically wanted this one built for some storage. So he determined the sizes. We placed this side ramp based on where that was to make that fit. We carpeted the walls. So the right-hand wall, the driver's side wall, and then our partition wall that we'll show you here in a minute. And then we did this airliner track, 2 rows of it. So again, if you hang anything from this, it's not rubbing against the actual wall, scuffing up that aluminum, scuffing up whatever you have attached there. And then as we work to the partition wall, we have a pass-through door, so we can go from this stall area, stall area to front tack or vice versa. And this is great from the standpoint if you're showing off this trailer, you know, whether you're mixing up some feed, you can go straight through rather than going around. Or if you're getting ready to show, the kids can come in here, change, and step right out here to the trailer, walk their hog off, and go to the ring. More of that airliner track. It matches the same height that we see on the other side. And then these big hooks. So this is something that's kind of evolved over the last few years. We're used to bridle hooks on horse trailers. Well, they're closer together, they're not very deep, they're not very tall. So Cimarron's gone in and built these utility hooks that they put on these show trailers. They're a lot deeper, they're a lot taller, they're spaced a lot wider as well. This is aluminum that's been powder coated, so it's real stout. But if you've got big hoses, big cords, those type of items, now they actually hang on these. Where in those older bridle hook style in the horse trailers, you know, you were having to use about 3 or 4 of them to actually do that, and cords are always falling off. So this is really cool that they've gone in and done this. So he did it all the way across, and then we've got a man door that goes out as well over here on driver's side. I like these type of setups. Anytime we're going to build you a front tack room with a folding side ramp on it, I'm always going to say I'm not going to build it for you unless we do a man door going into it, just for safety purposes. Because if we don't have this door or that that pass-through door, all we have is that ramp. If that ramp does get shut and you're in this trailer, you can't get out. So there's great access into this trailer. Whatever side you want to jump in, you can, so you can work off this trailer really well. But I like that from a safety standpoint as well in this trailer. LED lights in here. We added a few more because of the carpet, just because that carpet does kind of darken it a little bit. But those Optibrights are fantastic from really just lighting the trailer up. This is a nice trailer. Let's go ahead and option it with some really nice lighting. Speaking of lighting, let's look at that top rail again. So went in, the button lights are now standard on the Cimarrons for marker lights. They're smaller, they're LED, they don't have a lot of power draw, and they do look sharp at night. And he went in and he added a few more. So there's 14 of them per side on that top rail. And then we have a light in the middle, kind of covering these 2 ramps here. And then behind that, you'll notice that there is an awning. This is an armless Dometic awning. It's a 16-footer. It's got a remote. And when we look at this, we like these armless, especially on these show trailers, because they're shorter. But if you're ever doing anything out here, you know, and I'm kind of talking about like kind of show cattle and that type of stuff where we have chutes, or you got some lambs, goats with some, you know, anything like that out here. Now we don't have to walk around those arms. But real simple to use, in, out. Again, 16 foot. Now this is where the custom part came in. You know, most of the time it's located towards the back of the trailer and then coming forward. Well, he wanted it, because of this side ramp and them showing off of it, he wanted it shifted ahead of that ramp just a little bit, so he's got some coverage in there for those hogs in these front pins. But again, it's just a remote. There's a little transponder up here in the gooseneck area that you kind of want to be towards the front of the trailer to kind of operate, but that armless is fantastic. And let's be honest, it's black, so it blends in really well with that top rail. You really don't notice it. It doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, where if it was white, you know, it would probably wouldn't have the same look to it as far as the finish. These ramps are really easy to use. So Cimarron does a great job on the springs that they use. Once you get to a point, they almost want to suck into the trailer itself. So your smaller exhibitors can actually lift these up and down. Here's a look at that black painted door frames. So it's on all the door frames, drop windows that we'll show you. These are keyed. Everything on this trailer is keyed alike. So you can lock up these tack doors, these drop windows, the rear doors, any of that with one key. So it's really easy to operate from that standpoint. So here's our ramp going into our stall area. So again, what we're talking about is with this trailer lowered, it's lowered to the ground. Where if we raise it up to actually drive with that air ride, it's gonna pick it up. So it's gonna make this ramp steeper. So again, when we're loading or unloading projects, have it lowered, same with tack. It just makes life a lot easier from that standpoint. And then we do the gates over the openings. So you have one on the escape door on the other side that we'll show you, one over this one. So you can open this completely up, get a lot of airflow through there. If you're sitting there at a show, again, airflow's key. It really helps just keeping animals nice and comfortable. Again, lifting it up, and as I get to a point, it just sucks into the trailer itself. Now on the LX models, they have the drop windows, but these are upgraded drop windows. This is basically a built at the factory frame for these drop windows. This is what we use on our horse trailers. So these things are big and they are stout. Solid seal to them. I mean, you can literally grab a hold of them and shake the trailer. That's how stout these drop windows are. You also have these jail bars that drop down. So if you needed to hand something to somebody or somebody hand it out, you can do that. But it does keep it from a safety standpoint, having that jail bar there and then going ahead and then shutting it up. On these as well, down here on this bottom rail, let's take a look at this, because we have these fold down air slats. Now I'll show you, there is plexiglass on the inside right now, but that can be removed. So for wanting more airflow, especially for like hogs, lambs and goats, so small animals, it's real important to get airflow down low. I mean, that's where they're at. So when we start manipulating airflow up top and getting it down low, having these lower air gaps is really important. And this is so simple to do, is to just walk by and flip these down. The plexiglass is really important for winter months because we can't do a solid seal with this opening up. It just gives an extra little barrier there to keep some of that colder air from getting in there. And again, it's real simple to just walk by, flip up and down. You'll notice it's also a polished extrusion on this, so it really just gives a sharp finished look to the trailer. On polish, you don't want to acid wash it, you want to citrus wash it. Acid will burn it, give it a hazy, kind of a smoky look. You'll have to repolish it to make it ever look back like this. So you just want to citrus wash it, it's not as harsh. Now, polish does take a little bit more work. You know, maybe you take a towel and hand dry. Thankfully, it's in one of our big, show cattle trailers. It's 30 foot long with all extrusion. So it's not as much to just towel dry. Or what you do is you get in the pickup and you drive down the interstate 75, 80 and let it air dry. And then it'll get rid of those water spots. Now, let's take a step back here because I want to show you. Two 7,000 pound Dexter axles with the air ride. And a spread axle. There's a 12-inch spread. Spread axle really helps weight distribution, so we're not getting as much tongue weight, but it also helps the way that this trailer pulls. This is going to pull more like a triple axle. Now, it will, from a turning standpoint, it's going to turn more like a triple, so we have to worry about tire scrub and maybe a little bit more pressure on that. But again, there's another feature on this trailer that I'm going to show you here towards the end on how to kind of combat that as far as on this trailer is concerned. But that spread axle is really going to help the way this trailer pulls. Air ride plus spread axle, it is going to pull phenomenally well. Upgraded to 14 ply tires, so a little heavier duty tire. I really like to upgrade customers when we're building the trailer just from that standpoint. Now on that air ride, so if something does happen to our compressor, to a line, to a bag, it sets down how it's sitting right now on rubber torsion axles. It's got a shock on there as well, but you can drive down the road and get to where you need to, get something addressed, fixed if there is an issue. the old systems, you couldn't move the trailer. You were stuck. So these air ride systems have come a long way from that standpoint. But believe me, the way that this trailer pulls is going to be phenomenal because of that air ride and that spread axle. And that is definitely something that we do a lot on a lot of custom trailers, is really incorporating that air ride. Again, the amount of money we spend and time we spend on these projects and these animals, let's give them the best opportunity to compete at the highest level by putting them on something like that. I want you to notice this back door. So this back door is wrapped all the way around to the side of the trailer. We like to go in and upgrade to wraparound hinges rather than the welded hinges with grease zerks, because these back doors will come off at a 90. So especially if we're showing off of these trailers, which a lot of these jackpots are going to, you know, the ability to wrap this around the back of the trailer and get it to the side. Now we don't have it fanned out to where maybe somebody's parked next to you, you're trying to get animals by, you know, having to open and shut constantly. We don't want to do that. So we like upgrading to the wraparound hinges. We do 4 per so that it's real stout. It's still the same framework that you'll see on all the Cimarrons as far as that door. So it's really heavy duty and stout. So dual 50/50 doors, so they are independent. You can open one or the other, doesn't matter. And then on the back ramp, same thing, dual 50/50. So you can drop one side or the other. Again, since they're halves too and not as tall, you know, again, your younger kids can open and close those very, very easily. 2 16-inch awning lights at the back, so we have plenty of light coverage back here. We know that you're going to be loading and unloading in the dark, or possibly showing or doing something in the dark on this trailer, so let's put a lot of lights on there, which they did, but Cimarron does a really great job on making a lot of that standard. As you notice, we've got black gates, and then our posts and build outs are white, and these are powder coated. This was just something that he wanted to do. Really like this look. As you can see from the outside, incorporating the black and the white into it, it turned out great. I mean, it's a really sharp looking trailer. So again, a 10-pin setup. Now I also want you to notice that these right-hand gates, everything is hinged from the right-hand side. In the past, a lot of the stuff was hinged from the actual post itself in the middle. And when we're working out of these trailers, it just over time, you know, a lot of good customer feedback is hey, it just flows a lot better by having these hinged to the right, especially when we go ahead and move this from a 50/50 to a 60/40 setup. So as we're set up right now, everything's 50/50, but all I have to do is break the middle gate loose, and I pull out and I swing over into place. Now we're 60/40, so now we have this alleyway. So I can really manipulate these stalls about any way I want. You know, you can completely open them up. We can take sections out. So some customers will actually go in and say, hey, I want to haul some small animals, but maybe we're going to take a steer, or I want a bigger pen back here for something. I can take each section out of this trailer. So by myself, I can gut this trailer in about 5 minutes and then putting them back in about 10 to 15. When you do that, I recommend that you take a marker of some sort, or at least just mark each post. And I start at the front and work back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so back. That way when you go to put them back in, you know exactly what order they go in. So again, we can take this out very simply. On most of our LXs, they're gonna come with no stall mats. But what I want you to notice on this one is they upgraded into the worm flooring. And that's what I would recommend, is either going with no stall mats and just bedding, or going with like a worm flooring. And the reason why is, you know, rubber mats and hogs getting underneath them, tearing them up, but also when you go to clean this trailer out, pulling them out and putting them back in, it's a little bit of a puzzle, especially around our posts where they actually go into the floor. Gets a little bit trickier. But worm is awesome. Now you can just power wash this trailer out. You're never having to pull mats. It's unpenetrable, so urine's not getting down, you know, to this aluminum itself. It stands for we eliminate rubber mats. That's where the name worm comes from. But we really like worm on these type of trailers, or rubber mats. That way we can pull them out, or no mats, especially on this type of a setup, but then we can assess the floor. But with worm, now we don't have to worry about it, because again, it's going to make it to where that stuff does not get down there to that aluminum floor itself. So a lot of other extras in this stall area. We'll just kind of talk about a standard here first. Standard is this insulated roof. It comes on every single Cimarron. Doesn't matter if it's a 2-horse bumper pull, this trailer here, or a big monster living quarters. This is standard on every single one of them. It's got 2 important benefits. Number 1 is it's really strong. I can walk on this, I can jump on this roof, it won't dent it. It's a 1/2 inch thick honeycomb design, so it gains a lot of strength with the honeycomb, and then the actual, just depth of it itself. But more importantly, it's going to keep the stall area about 20% cooler than aluminum sheeted roof. That makes a massive difference. If you see us at some shows, we're usually parked on asphalt, summer months, junior nationals, things like that. We'll have an easy up tent outside, but you'll notice we'll be more than likely sitting inside the trailer in the afternoon. The heat from that asphalt and just overall heat, it's that much cooler in the trailer. We'll bring you here to the lot and show you on those 95-degree days, take you to a Cimarron, then go put you in another brand with aluminum sheeted roof, and you will notice a massive temperature difference. So let's keep these animals as comfortable as possible. With that, they went ahead and put a 15 BTU AC unit on here as well. So now we've got air conditioning in here, because we do have that 30 amp breaker package. We can run this air conditioner, and then they took it another step, and this is what I recommend. AC units really need a line and insulate package for you to really notice the benefits. So on the side walls, down below the air gap, and up around the windows, everything's line and insulated. We've also done some insulation by doing the worm flooring. So now the flooring, the sidewalls, and the roof, now we have some insulation. This air conditioner is going to work so much more efficiently based on that. You've got 2-way roof vents in the roof as well. So again, we can manipulate some airflow by using those to either grab air and force it down onto the animals, open them backwards to release air. Maybe in the winter months as heat's starting to rise, you can get that away from the animals itself. And with the 30 amp breaker package is outlets. So we have outlets in the top rail on each side of this. So now they've got power throughout this whole stall area based on that 30 amp breaker package that we have up front there. And then we also have a storage tray up here on this partition wall. And this storage tray is actually going to be for our plexiglass that's down low on these side walls. So it's up kind of out of the way. But again, this plexiglass is going to help protect in keeping our temperature in here more consistent because of those fold down air slats on the outside. This is something that's been, again, over time, listen to customers. How do we improve it? He saw this on another trailer. I think he was actually flipping through the Cimarron website and saw it, and we discussed it, and he opted to go that direction. Now, one more thing in this stall area is I want you to notice the height of these. So he is, strictly going to be hauling hogs in this. So normally these pin heights are 37 inches. For now, these are the 31 inch height panels. Now, when we're dealing with goats and lambs, we'd like the additional height on them, but because he's hauling hogs, we don't need that extra height. So he opted to go with the shorter version there. One of the other things that I know that our cameraman Jody really appreciates that he upgraded to, I don't think he hit his head coming out of the tack room today, but head pads. So he's got head pads here at the back, at the side ramps, at all those doors. This is a shorter trailer. Last thing you want to do is hit your head on one of those, and we really like those pads, and again, so does Jody. I'm going to shut up this back so you can kind of see how this looks. Again, independent, so they're really easy to operate, open and close. Again, the wraparound hinges are something that we do on all of these LX, Showstar models in our inventory. You've got windows at the back, so if you wanted more airflow coming out of the trailer, it always works as a vacuum. So if you're opening up those roof vents, that air is going to want to find a way out, so it's going to come towards the back of the trailer. And again, very, very simple. These back ramps, they just store right out of the way. All of our light switches for all those interior lights, exterior lights are right here. They're all individual. So I can turn on just the stall area, or I can turn on just the right-hand side or rear with those switches at the back. Here on driver's side, again, just the exact same. We've got our drop windows. We have the lower air gap. We've got the jail bars, and then we have this access door right here. So kind of our escape door, access door to that stall area. It goes ahead and shuts up. It has a drop in it as well. Now it's a little bit smaller because of the door itself and the framework, but it does have that as well. Now it also has this fold-up step. That's painted to match, so as you're driving down the road, it's going to blend in with that bottom painted rail on this trailer. But boy, these steps are really nice. You'll notice here's one on this front tack room as well. I mean, you go flat-footed to this bottom framework of this door, that's a pretty big step. Now we're cutting about 8 inches of that step off. It's a really easy transition getting in and out of this trailer. And then on this door, you'll notice there is a light above it as well, and a combo deadbolt. So if you lock up the ramp on the other side, lock up the passenger door, as long as this latch isn't locked, you can lock the deadbolt and just send somebody to the trailer. As long as they have the code, they can punch it in and hop right into the trailer itself. But we'll kind of step back. One of the last things I want to talk about is, we do this on all of our air ride triple axles, and it's something that Transwest exclusively does. But because triple axles and how hard it is to turn those, excuse me, and maneuver them, and the tire scrub and the pressure we put on those hubs and those sidewalls, we go in and we put an air dump on the back axle. Now it doesn't physically pick the axle up off the ground, but it shifts the weight to the first 2 axles and our pivot point, and then that back wheel just basically skates. Now I can turn our triple axle air ride trailers around like a tandem axle. So if we get into really tight situations, have to back it in, crank in somewhere, especially asphalt on really hot days, it doesn't have any give, so it really wants to grab, you know, our tires want to grab into that asphalt, and it's really hard on them. So we put an air dump on our back axle on our triple axles. Now, our GM has done this on his tandem axle head-to-head demo trailer, and we've done some video on it of actually turning those trailers around. But on his back axle, on his tandem, he has the air dump. Well, this customer saw those videos, said, hey, I want that. So there's a little disclaimer. You have to be conscious of it, and you just got to really understand the operation of it. The reason why is you get this remote, so you can operate it from the seat of your pickup, and then we put 2 indicator lights right here. That's where he opted to have them, so he can look in his side mirror and see them. So right now they're off. That's because we have air going to both axles. Now if I hit the button, you notice that they turn on, and what it's doing is it'll pull the air from the back axle. Again, it won't physically pick it up, but it shifts everything to that first axle. So if he really wants to crank this around, you can turn on a dime. Where we're sitting in this area where we're shooting this video, our GM had his 1-ton dually pickup, and I believe his trailer is 36 foot long, and he could pull in here and turn that trailer around and go straight out of here. You can't do that on a normal tandem, but because of the way that it operates and turns, he could do it. So now all I hit is off. It'll turn the indicator lights off, and then it'll kick the compressor back on and send air to that back axle. So in situations where you really want to turn it tight, back it in somewhere tight, you can, you know, really utilize this. Now, when if you leave it on and you go down the road and you hit your brakes pretty hard, there's really no resistance on that back axle and those back tires. And again, we're only running on one axle, but without that resistance, it's really gonna grab hard. You know, it's real easy to flat spot a tire. So as long as you're just, again, aware of it and just use it in certain situations, really paying attention to those indicator lights, if they're on or off, you know, it is a great feature to have. And that, again, that's something exclusively that we do here at Transwest. So again, we covered a lot of stuff on this trailer. I hope I didn't miss anything because it's got a lot. I think he's even tuning in. I know he was wanting to see this trailer in the walkthrough video of it, and I think this trailer turned out beautiful. I mean, it is a sharp looking trailer. I'm gonna give you our stock number on it. Again, it is sold, but I'm gonna give you the stock number. So if you referenced it, talking to our sales staff, we can kind of go pull the specs directly on the trailer. It's 5N211383. It is a 2022 Cimarron Showstar LX. So if you have any questions on this trailer, custom building, what do we have on order? We have a lot of trailers on order as well. You know, maybe we can just move them up, put your name on it. We can still make some tweaks, but this is a fun process. I mean, it really is. I always tell people, we work in the toy aisle. This is so much fun for me to sit down with you and build you this, and then get this type of a finished product that Cimarron produces. Again, it makes it very enjoyable, and what a cool trailer when it's all said and done. In fact, I'm probably gonna go ahead, I'm gonna shut this up. I'll walk through, make sure everything's shut up so you can walk around and see this trailer one more time before we log out here. So, but if you have any questions, give us a call. Anybody on the sales team can help you out. Our number is 303-684-3400. Thanks for tuning in and have a good day.